Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our cloud session. Thanks for joining. We've got a great session lined up for you. To the clouds and beyond. That's what we called it, because we want to talk about cloud services and how we, as a community, as NRENs, in Géant, collaborating with cloud providers, can make these cloud services available to our community with the right conditions of use. And we got a great set of presentations lined up for you, and a discussion as well. Look at this. We will inform you about how we as NRENs collaborate on cloud services, what we do together here gathered in Géant. And after that first segment, one of my team colleagues and I will fill you in about what we did during the last year of our work on clouds. We get a cloud provider panel discussion, and I'm really proud that we have so many providers, important providers, joining us here today. Look, we got Advania and Green Cloud, got Amazon, Code42, Google, GeoINet, and Microsoft, and we'll have a discussion with them about how we can work together on making cloud services available with the right conditions of use. So please do think about questions that you want to ask those providers. This is the time to do it. A first reminder, after this session at 6 o'clock we will continue. We will have a meet and greet between us as a community and the cloud providers to talk further about what we can do together. But it's about you, right? It's about what we can do. I think many of you know the Gartner hype cycle, where they put a certain technology and think how the technology will move across that cycle to reach a certain plateau of productivity. Now I'm curious what your take is on clouds. So let's get a feeling here about what your cloud perspective is. What is your cloud position? Now let's look at this. Who of you is still going up the happy-go-lucky stage with clouds and is reaching that peak of inflated expectations? So who is all positive about clouds? Ooh, this is very academic, guys. Nobody in this first... thank you. We got a couple. Good. You're still happy-go-lucky. And who is coming down here? Is more pessimistic about clouds. I see some of my Cambridge colleagues. Thank you, guys. Well, that's your typical perspective. Yeah, thanks, Toby. Anybody right here at the bottom of the trough? Yeah, it's always good to have somebody right there. It's good for the discussion. So please think about a couple of questions to ask from your perspective, sir, from this very bottomless pit here. We need this for the cloud panel. So the rest of us is working towards that plateau of productivity, I reckon. Who of you is in this stage where you feel we are getting to grips with clouds? Some providers, my team colleagues, thank you. Because yes, that is what we want to do. We want to work together to reach that plateau of productivity and to be able to reach and use cloud safely. And this is what we feel about clouds. What does our community say to us, institutions and our users? Now we see that those institutions cannot use cloud services most of the times in the way that they would like it. Because this is what they tell us. They ask providers to handle data safely and securely, so meet national and European legislations, and please help us to use clouds through our institutional structures, that they are affordable and predictable, that they meet institutional purchasing models, and users don't have their own credit card in our community, that clouds are integrated with our network capabilities. Clouds need a powerful network. Now that is what we bring, right? We bring a powerful network into play, and we can use that to limit network traffic costs as well. And this bullet point is also important. We want to be able to log in and use many cloud services using our trusted institutional account. And we want to move cloud providers when we have to. Now that is what our institutions and our users tell us. And that is why we work and collaborate on this together in Géant. Now this is what we don't do as a Géant cloud team. We don't build or operate cloud services ourselves. That is what NRENs do, what certain R&E projects do, and what commercial providers, those gathered here today, do. What is it that we do in Géant? We want to make sure that these cloud services can be used with the right conditions of use, and that is the cloud power that we bring. You can see us as a delivery gateway to make sure that cloud services are easily and trustworthy and work and are well integrated. And we as a community bring three assets into place that we have. Start from the bottom. We got this powerful network, so we can make network peerings with cloud providers. We got our AAI EduGain infrastructure, so we can make sure that our users can log in to all these different clouds with our trusted institutional account. And we work on adoption, terms and conditions, and cloud brokerage. And we will tell you more about these elements here in the remainder of our session. Over the last year, we saw that there is a strong demand in our community for four service types. Our community wants to use collaboration suites. Google Apps, Office 365 are good examples, important for institutions, for general productivity. They want to use real-time communication software, like video conferencing, web conferencing services. They want to store their data in the cloud, and they want to run virtual machines and compute in the cloud. And that is what we've been working on, and today we will tell you about what we did, and we made certain services available in those categories. And my colleague Mandeep will tell you more about this later on. What we also found is that these areas are something that we want to work on in the years to come, to focus more on e-learning, educational resources, business administration services, and medical applications. So if you have thoughts on this, join us at 6 to tell us more about what you want to do in this area. We feel these could be new areas to explore for us in Zeeland. What also became apparent during the last year, many NRENs are active with clouds, and our community asks us to deliver cloud services. And at first we had some debates among NRENs whether you should build clouds yourself, whether you should outsource them, attract them, consume them from commercial entities. What was very interesting over the last year is many NRENs now have a hybrid approach. They do make and buy. And together with their community, they look at which services are best in which circumstances, and then create the right solution. And it can either be to build it yourself, or it can be by brokering deals from commercial providers. What is key, though, at the bottom of this slide, is that our community recognizes us as their trusted advisors and brokers and providers. And that is a very, very good position to be in, to be that trusted party for our community. Now, I want to give you a couple of results from our work and show you this because I feel it could be useful for you to use in your own home organization. What we did in the Zeeland Cloud team, we wrote a very nice report about a cloud strategy which helps you as an NREN or as an institute to start adopting and delivering cloud services. I included the link, it's available up on the Zeeland website. This helps you to get started with clouds, to work on clouds, to deploy clouds in a way that is similar to how other NRENs are doing this. Because what I think is key is that we share experiences, what we've done, what works well, what doesn't work well. I'm really happy that a number of NRENs have given us use cases about what they're doing, how they are working on clouds, what worked well, what didn't. And we gathered those use cases. It's also part of the Cloud Strategy Guide, and I recommend you to read it because it helps you to get started yourself, to learn from the others. And that is what collaboration is about, right? It's about sharing what works well, but also sharing the obstacles that we face. What we also do in the Zeeland Cloud team is work on skill development, especially in the area of business development, product development for above-the-net services. It's a new game that we play compared to delivering networks. I think it needs a different approach. So we've been gathering NRENs that are already doing this, and we've been having workshops and discussions about how to improve our skills in this area. It is something that we will be doing more in the year to come. Technical standards are also important to get interoperability in place, so the team gathered what we feel are the most important cloud standards to make sure that we can connect clouds to one another. And we created this website that nicely describes them and how you can apply them. So it's also a good read, well recommended. The URL is included. This is about the technical way to connect clouds together. Besides commercial clouds, we also work on community clouds. We will be hearing much more about the commercial clouds from the providers that will join us in 40 minutes up on the stage there for the panel discussion. There are also NRENs that are cloud providers, and it is great that these NRENs share their experiences and even their infrastructure. A good example is Renater. My colleague Panos will tell you more about what's been going on in that area, but we are sharing a web conferencing system. I recommend you to check it out. It is a great open source system. It is a very professional way of video conferencing online. We are also working together on sharing experiences on the infrastructure area and on own cloud for file storage. More about this later on. Now, we've been working with cloud providers for a long while now to tell them, look, we've been drinking lots of coffee with cloud providers, to tell them, look, this is what we want you to do to be able to deliver your services safely and securely to our community. So we help to bridge that gap. We've come up with a joint set of requirements as NREN community that we feel all cloud providers should meet to be able to deliver their services safely and securely. It's not a long list, it's only 6 pages, so that helps to get a discussion going. I think many of you know these very long end-user license agreements, 60, 70 pages of scrolling down. Our requirements fit on 6 pages, very good. And we invited cloud providers to give us their answers to which extent they can meet those requirements. And many many providers already did this. And we gathered their responses, we put them up in the Géant Cloud Catalog. This gives you a list of providers. Mandeep will tell you more about who is in there and what they offer. It gives you a list of providers, and it shows you to which extent they can meet our needs. And that is very valuable. It helps you to go out to those providers, contact details are included, and start consuming those services. You can do this on your own. We believe the next step should be to consume cloud services together as one entity, to aggregate demand and go out to the market and make it as easy as possible. And that is what we believe Géant should be doing. And this is a strong opportunity for NRENs to deliver value to our community. Michelle will tell you more about this part of our work later on. We've got an infrastructure tender going on that will help to make services become available with the way institutions need it to work. So this is an introduction from my side. Panos will continue now with an overview and more detail about how we work on community clouds. Panos.
So I'll just pick a few cases because it's not possible to capture everything that's going on in the Géant community in terms of clouds. So I will just describe the few cases that I hope are interesting and show what can be done in the next few years. I work at GNet and I work also with Andres in Géant. And let's start by defining what is community clouds. We define them by saying that they are cloud projects that are initiated by the NRN communities, so not by a commercial entity. And we do not see them as in competition with the commercial services, but rather as complementary, because we do not have the scale of commercial provider, for instance. We can offer different things because we are closer to our users, so this makes things more interesting, perhaps. We are more responsive to our users because we're in daily contact with them. And we can also try more things in a shorter time scale sometimes. So we leverage our human networks because we know people in our countries and in Europe, and to test things and to develop new things, and then to see how it goes. So here are a few examples. One of them comes from my own organization, which GNet is the Greek NREN. And over the last few years, we have been developing a cloud software called Synefo, which powers an infrastructure as a service called Okeanos. We give computational resources. We also give storage resources to all members of the Greek research and academic community. It's 100% open source software. It is compatible with OpenStack. It is not OpenStack. We will talk a bit more about OpenStack in a few moments. So Okeanos is compatible with the OpenStack API, but it is a distinct implementation. The aim was to be simple and get things done, because we write the software and we also operate the software. So it should be easy to set up, it should be easy to maintain it, to administer it. We are a small organization, so we have just a handful of people to administer a cloud service that caters to thousands of users and tens of thousands of virtual machines daily. We are very happy that has been adopted out GRNet. So we know there are installations elsewhere in Europe and also in the United States, in Asia, etc., etc. We don't know all the installations. We just learn about them when people contact us because we have an active mailing list for support. So we learn when people have some questions that somebody in the United States, for instance, has an installation that has a problem, and perhaps we are able to help them out. The service is integrated with Geant, and we also offer it a chunk of the service to the whole of the Geant community. As I said, our primary, let's say, customers are members of the Greek academic community. But if you have an EduGain account anywhere in Europe, you can get a couple of virtual machines for 6 months to see how it is. It is in constant development, so we are moving beyond infrastructure as a service to platform as a service. Right now, we are rolling out a new service that offers big data computational services, that is Hadoop and the whole Hadoop ecosystem. And we recently started implementing Apache Flink and Lambda architectures on top of Okeanos. We are very happy to help anybody who wants to try it out. So if anybody wants to install their own version of Okeanos, our technical team is very, very happy to help in any way possible. Another example is developed by Renater. It's a video conferencing service based on WebRTC. WebRTC, for those of you that are not very familiar with it, it's a kind of new technology. It requires absolutely nothing on the part of the browser, just that the browser supports it. And more browsers do. There's no plugin required, there's nothing like that. You just go to the web page hosted right now by Renater, you type a URL, and you create your own conference. You can share your screen with other participants. It was very nicely, we use it in Geant already, and we are also looking on how to improve it. For instance, we would like to deploy video bridges over the Geant network, so there will be not just one hosted in Renater, but in different countries around Europe. We would like to orchestrate updates to deploy monitoring and discovering services to make it something that would serve the whole of the Geant community even better. People have already mentioned OnCloud here. This is a very, very popular open source file sync and share provider. It has proven to be very popular for on-premises online file storage. And what happened is that Geant, through Terena, negotiated favored pricing for members. So NRNs could get better prices through Geant for OnCloud installation. And there are already a number of NRNs that have signed up. You can see them on the slide. And then as people start using OnCloud in different NRNs in Europe, one thing that became obvious was that people wanted to share not between the same NRN, but along different installations, across different installations. So an exciting development was that earlier this year, OnCloud announced OpenCloud Mesh, which will allow file sharing between different OnCloud installations. Already 14 different organizations in Europe have signed up to participate in this effort, which would enable the researchers to share things easily among their different installations very, very easily. And OpenStack is, as we know, the most popular open source cloud software. There are thousands of people developing it and using it with support for very, very big companies. And many people in the Geant community have been experimenting with it or installing it locally on their premises or offering to their users. So what came out earlier this year was that it's a pity not to share this know-how among ourselves. So a group was set up to share knowledge and experience. It's called the OSO, OpenStack Operators. There's a mailing list where people discuss any kind of OpenStack-related problem, and there are also bi-weekly chats. So people come into the chat and discuss every 2 weeks developments related to OpenStack. As I mentioned, these are just a few examples. They do not exhaust everything that happens on with community-initiated cloud initiatives. We are happy in Geant to support them in any way possible, and to add more and more and more as the Geant project evolves. One thing is for sure that interest in all these things continues to increase with time. So If we have the same discussion this year, the same presentation this year, I would expect to have even more examples than the ones I presented here. Thank you.
Thanks, Panos. Before we move to the next presenter, which will be Mandeep, I am curious who in the audience is already using OpenStack or is thinking about this. Do we have OpenStack? Wow, look at this. Okay. And would this be something that is of interest to you, to join a community like this and to share more information about this? Yeah, thanks. Yeah. That's certainly something for us to discuss further. Yeah, thanks. Do we have questions for Panos about other things than OpenStack? Okay, I hope you are thinking about questions for the cloud panel, right? Because that will happen. So we need your questions. So I see many people typing. I expect those all to be questions for the cloud panel. Let's move to the next presenter, which is Mandeep. Thanks.
Thanks, Andreas. Good afternoon, everyone. And today, I will be speaking about the work we have been doing and we are planning to do in service delivery and adoption task under Giant project. And in Giant 3+, we did lots of good work in clouds, and we are continuing to do so now as well. As a result, we have quite a few cloud services within Giant Cloud Catalog. And with the efforts of service delivery and adoption, we want to make sure that we can get those services off the shelves from Giant Cloud and give it into the hands of community users. And with this, we want to empower research and education community by providing them opportunities to share, deliver, and adopt cloud services through Giant and through NRENs with the right conditions of use. We also want to facilitate research and education community to shift from traditional software distribution model to cloud delivery model. And in order to do that, we are going to work in collaboration with NRENs. We are going to explore existing business development models here, and we are going to provide you with a business delivery model here and facilitate this for you. With these two objectives in mind, what we can offer you, we can support community, we can provide you support to adopt and use cloud services, and we are planning to organize and facilitate cloud adoption pilots for that. And also we can provide you training. We can provide you consultancy for EduGain integration, for AI, for specific needs of NREN users, and for integration with other NREN services. Along with this, in order to increase the journal know-how regarding the cloud services within community, we are planning to organize a series of showcases on topics like service brokering, cloud procurement, cloud implementation and adoption, and so on. If you are interested in more information regarding them, please stay tuned on Giant for All emailing list and also on Cloud's bi-weekly meetings. This is where we will announce those showcases. And as Andreas has said before, that we have this Giant Cloud Catalog where you can find our cloud service providers, and you can explore this URL to get more information. And here are some of our cloud suppliers that are listed in Giant Cloud Catalog. In next few slides, I will give a short description of each of the service here. But if you are interested in more details, you can speak to some of our cloud provider representatives who are here today with us. And they will be with us in the evening session as well, where we meet and greet with our cloud providers. So join us there as well at 6 p.m. in meeting room 3, I think. And I would also like to request cloud providers who are here at the moment. I know some of them are here. If you can stand up when I take name of your organization, basically, so that everybody knows you and they can meet you after this session or in coffee break and also in the evening session that we have today. So Advania data centers, yeah. So we have representatives here, so find them. We have from Amazon Web Services. Thank you. And I'm not sure we have somebody from Box and Cloud Sigma, but we have from Code 42. Yeah. Thank you. And Dropbox. Eduzone. No? Okay. Google, we have representation from Google. Thank you. And GRNet, you already heard Pano's presentation. He will be contact for that. And we have representation from Microsoft. Bruno is here. And Netscope. Do we have? No. OK. So now going into details of, slight details of cloud services that we have in our catalog. So we have collaboration, under collaboration suites and real-time communication, we have Microsoft Office 365, which is a subscription service and provides institute with ways to stay connected no matter where they are, like irrespective of their location. And then we have Eduzone EZ Moodle, which simplifies the deployment and usage of Moodle learning management system. Then last on the list is Google Apps, where you can find facilities to support students and faculty members with secure storage that delivers in real time and also allows multi-user editing and syncing that is available anywhere, anytime, on any device. Under infrastructure as a service category, we have Advania Open Cloud, which is based on Cloud Stack and provides easy-to-use self-service web console for compute and storage, and it is connected to NoduNet network. Then we have Amazon Web Services, which offers a set of global compute, storage, database, analytics, applications, and deployment services. Cloud Sigma, which offers highly available, flexible, enterprise-class cloud servers and cloud hosting solutions. We have Eduzone EZ infrastructure, which is custom designed for research and education users in mind, and it provides servers, networking devices, storage, and data center by using your Edugain login. We have, again, Google Cloud Platform and Okeanos platform as well, which Pano spoke about. Then we have Microsoft Azure, which provides collection of integrated service. And then we have Ultimum Technology, which is again based on Cloud Stack, offers highly available, highly scalable compute resources and emphasize on performance, automation, and open source technologies. Under file storage and sync category, we have Box, which provides a secure way to share your content and improve collaboration. We have Crash Plan here, which provides, again, automatic continuous data protection with no disruption to the end users. We have Share Plan, which offers effective and secure file sharing and collaboration again. We also have Dropbox, which is soon going to join our Giant catalog. It might happen actually by the end of this week, but they also provide file sharing solutions. Finally, we have EduZone Anti-Spam, which provides high level of security while maintaining the simplicity of deployment. And we have Netscope Cloud Access Service Brokerage, which provides complete visibility, enforces sophisticated policies, and protects data in cloud apps. So we have quite a lot of stuff that we can provide you. We have services, we have support, we have information, but what is in it for you? Why you should join us and why you should join this movement? So these are some of the obvious advantages of using cloud services. By using cloud services, you can be more cost-effective, easy, and fast deployment is another benefit. You can take advantage of higher flexibility and scalability. And it also provides you ease of use, and you can access these services from anywhere, which can obviously improve your productivity and also improve your business processes. And by sharing the resources and efficient data center, you can also be energy efficient, and high availability and reliability is another benefit. And obviously, if your infrastructure is outsourced, then your IT team can focus more on core business processes and innovations. And as I said earlier, we will be, within this effort, we will be focusing on developing a business model for delivering cloud service across the Giant community. And we will be also organizing the cloud adoption pilots. And both these activities will run in parallel during the Giant 4 Phase 1. And both these activities will feed back to each other. So if you join now, you can have your say in defining the business model. You can be part of team, and you can contribute here. And we can learn from each other. So how you can join us? There is a very short survey available on this URL. This URL is also available on Cloud's homepage. It's a very brief survey. It has only 6 questions. It will take only 2 to 3 minutes of your time. But we would really appreciate if you can fill in this survey. It will really help us plan our work for service delivery and adoption task. Or if you prefer, you can email us. You can stay in contact with the email address, Cloud's Adoption emailing list. And other than that, we have bi-weekly online meetings, which happen on Rendezvous's web conferencing cloud room. And the next meeting is on coming Friday at 10 European time. So please join us there as well. So to conclude my talk, clouds are everywhere. Users are already using it and liking it. So there is possibility for you to join and collaborate through Giant. Be the part of movement, be the team, and let's make cloud happen together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mandeep. Mandeep showed you a nice collection of cloud providers we have on the catalog. You can go out on your own and talk to those cloud providers and see to which extent they meet our requirements and consume those services. I think it's better to do it together as one community and consume at large and to make agreements as one entity. And Michelle will tell you more about those efforts that we are currently undertaking in this area.
Hello, everybody. Get this on. Hey. like to briefly talk to you about why we're doing this, the current problems we're seeing with IaaS services being taken up by NRENs, the procurement process, and a little bit about our planning. So why are we doing this? Well, Andres said it before. We see a need for IaaS services. It's been identified as one of the areas which NRENs feel is an interest in. We see that they're maturing, that they're rapidly becoming usable in a hybrid situation where you do a number of computation yourself and you have some external resources needed. And obviously, there's a choice between doing it yourself, the institution, doing it via the NREN in an Okeanos type of resource, or doing it commercially. And we don't believe that there should be, you should choose for one single one of these. There's a situation in which each of them makes sense. It always used to be, do it ourselves, then it went, NRENs offer these services. And a lot of institutions were going, well, can I really trust the commercial services? It's the procurement hassle, it's the transparency which we don't see. We think that's changing now. We also think that more and more institutions have to look at their expenditure, and the data center cost is a really significant part of their expenditure. So having a flexible solution there could be very beneficial to each. These are the three things we see at the moment. NREN's institutions felt that the conditions of use were not transparent. Well, if you think about it, we have this cloud catalog with the cloud requirements that's basically asking them to self-assess their abilities. And if we flip them about, because it's now not a binding answer, it's not a legal answer, but if you flip them around and make it contract details, then it becomes transparent for NRENs and institutions to which they can commit or not. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that they can commit with everything, because the need for a certain computation may not require that. In other cases, it may. So it makes it more transparent, the choice between doing it in-house, between doing it through a community cloud services, or doing it through a commercial cloud services. So the second thing is that we saw is that the service uptake, well, it didn't always fit the capabilities of NRENs. NRENs are used to doing PO-based ordering. They're used to having control of how it's consumed, and they're used to post-paid billing. Not all cloud services currently offer that. So there's also a limitation there which is hindering the uptake of cloud services. So we have to look at that. And the third one is the cost predictability. One of the reasons why the community cloud services are much appreciated by institutions is that they normally don't have data egress charges. And data egress charges are being seen as one of the biggest reasons why the services are not used, because they're not predictable. The TCO of the service is not predictable, and institutions would like to have more assurance there. So that's another thing which is limiting the uptake. The fourth one, of course, is the procurement itself. Having to do the whole procurement run, if you can choose to do it in-house and not do that, or to use your NREN services, also makes a case for doing it together. And that's what we're preparing to do. And we want to make sure that institutions get this transparency in costs and get the predictability in costs. So we will be looking at a form of limiting those costs and making them more transparent and predictable. So what are we doing? We're in the process of running a IaaS procurement. Not looking at choosing or selecting a single provider, because, like we said, we believe there is a balance. There is community cloud services and public cloud services, and they are compatible and they're helping each other instead of being in competition. For different needs, you can use different services. So we're hoping to get many providers interested in this. A number of them here are in the room. Much appreciate them being here. It feels a bit odd to talk about a procurement with having the providers here, but we're pretty open with what we can do. Obviously, it's not realistic that all 43 NRENs will start using the services from day one. That's an uptake. There are countries who are more in tune and more piloting already with these services. So there will be an uptake, there will be a slope, and it's a learning experience for the NRENs and for the providers probably too. So there's 5 NRENs now who are in the procurement team to make sure that we got a large group of countries to help us form our opinion how to do this. And we will make sure that the NRENs are in the lead of what is being offered to the institutions. And of course, an institution can still by itself go to one of the providers and buy it, but it has to do the whole procurement run, has to be aware of the public procurement legislation which is in effect in Europe. So we believe that we can deliver them the services in a transparency which would help them and also in a legal way so they don't have to worry about the procurement legislation. So where are we? We've issued a PIN, that's the prior information notice, saying, oh, we're going to do this. We have 20 suppliers registered currently. We do not believe that all of them will be able to meet our requirements. At the first glance, there seems to be some in there who may not fit, but they will get the chance to look at the PQQ and the RFP and see if we can deliver these services in the way we need. So we just send them an information. Thank you for registering. Here we are. This is what we're going to be doing. And we will issue a PQQ, pre-qualification document, beginning of July, and do some dialogue sessions because we feel that it is very important that to understand the abilities and the inabilities of providers to make sure that we get a win-win situation because we can't do a procurement and just say we need this, this, and this, and then they say, nah, we can't do that. So we want to avoid that by making sure communication is the key in this process, but making it legal too. And then we expect to award the contracts, framework agreements with these providers in February, and then they can start delivering these services. Very important is that it is through the NRENs and they will be able to communicate this. And we expect that the setting up the services will take some time because we need portals. We need to make sure that the reporting is in line with what NRENs want. The authorization is in line with what NRENs want. So there is quite a bit to do. And that's my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Michel. While we talk briefly a bit about this, I want to invite all the cloud provider panelists to join us up on the stage. Some of you don't have a microphone yet, so I think we need some support to have some mics for the ones that don't have this. Now, while we change the scene, I hope you see that it's very worthwhile to collaborate on a procurement like this together. It requires dedicated expertise, and I'm very happy that we brought this together in Japan to do this. I think it's a huge opportunity for us as NRENs to become in the position where we can deliver those services to the community. So I hope that you will join us. Many NRENs already said we want to be a part of this and we want to consume those services and be in that delivery role. Great. If you're not yet part of a team, join us, talk to us afterwards, or join us at 6 at the meet and greet to talk more about how we can make this happen together. Are there questions about this? Because you see I'm trying to gain some time here while we set it up on the stage. Are there questions about the procurement? Maybe questions for Mandeep or for Michel? Great.
Hi, nice to meet you.
And I do hope that you are all preparing questions. Per, you have some questions prepared?
Erica?
For sure, right? Erica? You promised me this. Domenico, you're preparing questions. Great. Yuri? You're not preparing questions? Per.
Could you explain the call-off procedure from a framework when you've done this?
Per asks to explain the call of procedure, how we will do this. That is a very specific question. I think Michel just lost his microphone. So I suggest the two of you get together at 6.
I'll speak like this.
Okay, yeah. I think it works.
It's intended that all institutions can directly choose the procured services, or they are at liberty, if they have a large need or a very specific need, to run a mini competition themselves. So an institution can use the services which are in the framework agreement directly, buy them directly, and it is legal, or they can opt to do a mini competition.
Roger. Per, can I suggest that you talk with Michel afterwards? Yeah. It's great because I see you are very interested in joining this, and you might even join the procurement team because I see you have some skills. Okay, guys, we are ready for the next segment. We have a whole list of cloud providers here. Thank you guys for joining us. It's really appreciate that you took the time to come to Porto, to visit us here, the community, and we can have a discussion about how we can make this happen together. Can I have the slides back up, please? Okay. We have prepared some questions, so if you can put the slides back up, thanks. And first, let's start with a short introduction round from everybody. Just who you are. Yes, Andy, very short who you are.
Really, really short?
And what would be great if you tell us in just a couple of short words what you like about clouds and what you don't like about clouds.
Oh,
Andy, go first.
you want that to introduction, the whole piece. Alrighty. So my name's Andy Hardy. G'day. I'm Australian. I lived here in Europe for 26 years. I'm managing director of Code 42. We're the makers of CrashPlan, which is the world's leading endpoint data protection solution. And we've partnered with Jayant. Very excited to be on that cloud catalog. What I like about clouds, I think cloud services in general, is the ability to bring innovative business models coupled with the ability to deliver services kind of anywhere. Business models like software as a service and storage as a service. Makes no sense to capitalize those things, spend your precious capex on that. I think it's much better to keep us vendors on our toes. You can turn it up if you like it and turn it down if you don't, and turn it off if we're not doing a good job.
And what you don't like?
I think the real challenge about cloud services is that it can sometimes feel, because end users can adopt them without your decision making, it can sometimes feel like IT is losing control, losing visibility of IT. All of the people that work in your organizations can click a EULA and give their permission to let all of their information go anywhere that they want it to go, whether you let them or not, frankly. And so I think we have to take heed of that reality. I think there's a need, therefore, for solutions which can enable you to regain visibility and control of all your data, most of which is no longer in data centers, no matter where it goes, whether it's into people's briefcases or onto various cloud services. That's part of the business that we're in, actually. So.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Bruno from Microsoft, welcome.
Yeah, welcome. So my name is Bruno Surman. I'm from Belgium, and I'm working 5 years for Microsoft in the Western Europe area as a cloud productivity specialist. So that means Office 365 as core, which has been adopted by many institutes around the globe. And my things that I like about the cloud is the speed. Speed about innovation. Innovation is going fast. We have every day new features coming in, new updates coming in. So cloud is moving dramatically fast. One thing. Secondly, cost. Cost is going down dramatically. So compared to a few years ago, it's go down 3 times, 4 times. So cost is the benefit. And then the openness. With Microsoft, for example, we open to all platforms. We support Linux, we support Python, R, anything. We embrace the research environment.
Okay. And what you don't like?
The definition of cloud, the word cloud. I have sometimes trouble when I see publicity about cloud. Cloud in a USB. Cloud on a NAS, cloud on a computer, a server. We talk about cloud, which is completely different. It's a hyperscale cloud data centers. It's data centers with hundreds of thousands of servers running across the globe. So it's a completely different thing. It's private cloud. It's changing your data center and converting to one mega resource of a pool of CPU and storage. It's not one server that's a cloud. It's hundreds of thousands of them that makes a cloud. Yep. And so that's the big differences. Cloud is not a clear definition today anymore. And that's what I don't like.
Thanks, Bruno. Yeah, I was in my local electronics store the other day, and I saw this USB stick, and it said, your personal cloud in your pocket. Now, that's not cloud, right? Yeah. Erica, welcome. Erica Erdős from Amazon.
Everybody. Thanks for the invitation. I'm Erica Erdős, and I'm heading the Europe, Middle East, and Africa Organization for Amazon Web Services public sector. And it's getting increasingly more difficult to say what do we like in cloud, because we talked about innovation, speed, and cost. And I need to say, working for public sector, what I like the most is the economic impact what cloud is driving. It's amazing to see how much it helps in education, in healthcare, in governments, in local regional governments, but central governments increasingly. So the economic impact, and being here, maybe I add one more, which is speed to science. I'm amazed to see how researchers can really get to results earlier, how they can use infrastructure as a service like AWS for doing clinical trials far faster and getting to the economic benefit and changing lives.
And a particular thing you don't like?
What I don't like, I think I wanted to say commercial cloud. I hate the word commercial. I hate the word public cloud. I prefer a little bit commercial cloud. But maybe what I don't like is that it built up like a difficult thing, and there are, especially in IT organizations where are people with long on-premise experience, they start to be a little bit afraid of it because it's like a cloud, it's difficult. Maybe I cannot be part of it, maybe I cannot learn it, although it's very easy. It's amazingly easy. So that's why I like in the presentations the pilots to try up things, try things, innovate, fail fast, try again. Cloud is easy. Cloud is fun, and maybe this image around it's a new norm, but I need to learn. Maybe I cannot be part of it. This is what I don't like.
Great. Panos, you already introduced yourself in your presentation, but what you like and don't like, right?
Yeah, I introduced myself already before, so I will just say perhaps what I like about clouds is that it makes people happy, like undergraduate
happy faces.
Like happiness.
Yes. Yeah, like undergraduate students suddenly can learn operating systems by firing up their virtual machines and experimenting with them and doing things that they could not do a few years back. Postgraduate students can handle a amount of data that was unthinkable just a few years back also. So, I mean, we see that users are happy, and we see our users that are happy, and we are happy for that. Now, what I don't like the hype. I don't like the fact that every couple of weeks, you will hear about the new amazing tool or a new amazing cloud technology that some very smart guy or girl has developed. And it turns out that when you try to put it into production, you realize that probably only the creator of the technology can make it run into production. And after a couple of months, it will probably be forgotten. And it's actually very, very difficult to keep a long view and realize where the trends are really going and where you should invest your time.
Thanks, Panos. John from Google, welcome.
Hi. I'm John Lorenzo, and I'm the head of cloud platform for Portugal and Spain. What do I like about clouds? I'm going to say democracy and speed. Democracy, because this new paradigm is actually allowing any company, regardless of the size, or any organization, regardless of the size, to use exactly the same infrastructure as any big company could use. So that was something that in the old days was totally forbidden. I mean, that you wouldn't have the resources, you wouldn't have the money to use that type of infrastructure that now actually any cloud provider can give you. So you are basically using the same infrastructure as any company, like any big company can use. You can do exactly the same. And speed, I mean, speed to market, time to market, this is part of the days we are living in. I mean, these are tough days. We need to be ready within weeks, if not days, whenever you are raising or bringing a new idea to the market. It has to be, it's all about speed. And that's where the cloud is going to be helping you, because whenever you have to deploy something in the cloud, most of the, let's say, layers of infrastructure are already done for you. So you just have to focus on your code. You focus on what you have to do, and you forget about, running infrastructure, which is pretty boring, I would say. What I don't like about clouds, I think that we need to jointly make a big effort to make sure that the regulator understands what we are doing in the cloud, what can be done in the cloud, and how safe and secure is the cloud. And I think that that's something that's not pretty much perceived at the moment.
Thanks, John. Gisli, on behalf of Advania and Green Cloud, welcome.
Yeah, hi. I'm Gisli. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer of Green Cloud, here to represent both Advania and Green Cloud, as you said. We've been working in this space for years now, and I mean, what I love about cloud is how vibrant our business is. I mean, it's amazing what you can do with your cloud platform in a day today compared to 5 years ago or something like that, and that's how our business is evolving. It's amazing, and what we're seeing upcoming is really exciting, and that's what I love about our business. What I don't like, I have to agree both with Bruno and Panos. I mean, cloud washing annoys me, at least, being in this business. A lot of people call something cloud that is totally not cloud. It's a bit of a definition problem, I guess, but that's what I don't like about cloud.
Thanks, Gisli. And that is, I think, a nice transition to a set of questions that we are curious what your perspective on this is. We are curious about what you guys see as the biggest opportunity for clouds in research and education. What is the biggest obstacle that you think that we face as a community? And this one is, of course, also interesting. How different or difficult are we, right, as a research and education community? Do we differ from the commercial world? Maybe let's start with that last one. Are we strange?
Yeah.
Yeah, are we, Andy?
Of course.
Oh, Bruno. Okay, really? Oh, okay.
So, do you mind if I tackle that one?
Yeah.
So frankly, the issues that you need to deal with in your businesses are not, in my view, radically different from the issues you need to deal with in any commercial business. You know, you have issues around cost and issues around performance and issues around concerns about security and risk and so forth. But in terms of engaging with educational institutions and NRENs, it is pretty different. Decisions often seem to be very technically led. I think IT decisions should be based on really business drivers, and I think that it feels very, very different to engage in this sector than compared to some other sectors because of that.
Okay, maybe go to Bruno, because you mentioned this morning, but you also said something along the same lines, right?
Yeah,
is that right?
It's in the same lines. So,
Sorry.
So I think we all know, and we like education, and we like the research, and we like institutes, but we sometimes would prefer to have more business managers into these organizations to help drive innovation.
Okay.
What we see often is that there is a kind of the academic freedom that's all over the line, which is good, I like about it. But on the other hand, sometimes you have to do and make decisions.
Okay, I'm curious how we as an audience feel about this. We should be more business-like. So I still think you like the fact that we are technical. I get you, Erica. Maybe somebody in the audience wants to give his perspective on this. Do we need to be more business-like? Oh, I see people laughing here. Erica,
I know
it's people laughing here.
I think
Maybe
it's a
you want to
largely
respond to this.
technical audience, so perhaps
Erica?
Let me offer a different perspective. My special area is public sector, and my whole team is dedicated to public sector. And if I'm comparing the different, and we were established as a team because public sector is different, education is different, research is different than commercial. But what I see is that daily, how many researchers, educators, and students are just signing up, using their credit card to get access to our services, that's mind-blowing. We are going to institutions, there's a huge interest. Everybody wants to know, wants to learn. I think what I would call out is difference. It's more difficult to get access. That's why this procurement discussion is so important. We see that we need to help more because obviously a public sector organization is a far more organized and much more structured environment where procurement is a bigger issue. What I see we can help more is building on the great presentation about education is to put more help on giving access to trainings, to give grants for use and try out, and help on being accessible. These are the areas where I think that the commercial organizations versus research and education organization is different. But the level of curiosity and openness for cloud, I feel like it's there, which is it's just more difficult to get there.
Maybe John, you want to give your perspective on this?
Well,
how strange are we?
I mean, we, as a company, were born in a university, so what can I say about research and education? That's where we feel very comfortable at. We do have, our special, let's say, agreements or ways to go and work with the universities. I believe that we are going to see definitely. I mean, this is something that's going to be here and it's going to be staying for a long time until we, as companies, go to somewhere else. But in terms of cloud, I mean, the cloud is to computing what probably the first commercial power plant or energy plant was to electricity production 100 years ago. So it is not what's the biggest obstacle for the cloud in research and education. It's like, what is it going to be for the whole world? I mean, I don't see a big difference in the way that the adoption is going to be happening within research and education or any other place. The only difference is that you are going to be adopting it faster. First of all, because you are eager for new technologies. I mean, research and education institutions are always looking for new ways of doing things. They are testing every single product that appears. I mean, every time that I have the opportunity to chat to any guy in that comes from the research community or the education community, I mean, they come with technology that you've never ever heard about it. Like they do have the time and the resources to be able to try it. So I'm sure that they are going to be probably the first adopters, like seriously. And besides, I mean, behind the cloud, there is a huge power of computing that can be used in research in many various different fields of research, like genomics or big data analysis. I mean, those are things that probably 10 years ago were not able to do, basically because we didn't have enough compute power to do it. Okay, and nowadays we do. So
maybe go to, thanks John, maybe go to you, Gisli. You see, maybe whether we are different or you can take the opportunity cloud or the obstacle cloud.
Can I add something for the commercial difference between commercial and non-commercial for our experience? I think that one thing that is different is that a commercial organization is responsible towards its shareholders. An education organization is not. Okay, it's perhaps
responsible for what? Sorry.
A commercial organization is responsible towards its shareholders. An education organization is not. Mm-hmm. And so basically, when we deal with commercial organizations, at least GNet, money concentrates thinking. And it's much easier sometimes to deal with commercial organizations than with education organizations, because in the end, their criteria are more narrow and decision-making can be more efficient than when you talk with a research institution or an education institution, where criteria are more varied and stakeholders, there are many stakeholders and not just shareholders that you have to take into account.
Usually, your perspective on this?
Yeah, I mean, we've been of course working with NRENs for 6 years now, and I mean, we've been working a lot with, for example, SurfNet over the years, and of course you are different from commercial kind of organizations. very technology driven, and very solution oriented. One very kind of important factor in that is how much collaboration is being done in the NREN community. And when you're dealing with a commercial company, a commercial company will not be as open with you as a solution provider as an NREN will be. And I think there's a very honest communication that goes on when NRENs are looking for solutions and so on. Actually, that is one kind of the core, because I mean one of the questions is the biggest opportunity for clouds in the research community. One of the biggest opportunities there is actually the collaboration that goes on in the NREN community. That is one of the biggest opportunities that the NREN community faces, because now the technology can enable, for example, collaboration with infrastructure. Why can't an NREN use resources that another NREN has? And the community can mutually utilize the collective infrastructure that is in hand.
Thanks, Gisli. And I think it is a good time to maybe look around in the audience. So if we can get the microphones here, because we've been talking about these opportunities. I'm curious what for you the biggest obstacle is. Because if we work together on this, and I'm very happy to see that all those providers recognize us as being techies. That's what we love to be. We want to work together on these business elements, and we collaborate on this. So I am curious, what would be the biggest obstacle for us to work together on as a community with those cloud providers? If you can name one obstacle that you think, Melanie. Pricing. Yeah.
Is pricing different between countries?
That's a good question for the cloud providers. Do you have different pricing between different countries? Because we are here as one entity. Are there different prices?
What's the question, between different countries or between different companies?
Between different countries is the question from Melanie.
Yeah. Well, this, for example, I mean, Advania's cloud just has one single price list, and that's
for the others. Okay, Andy, for Code 42, one price list. One price list. One price list. Okay. So we as a collective can work with one price list. Okay, thanks. I'm curious. Other obstacles. Per, and then we come to you, Toby.
So I think you had it on your procurement, predictability in pricing, in terms of what what the bill is going to be after 1 month. Right.
Thanks, Per. That's an important input for the cloud providers. We want this to be predictable. I think we did indeed mention this. Toby?
It might be more perception than anything else, but I think a possible obstacle or something to dissuade people would be tie-in. I mean, you mentioned the importance of being able to get out at the end of
the vendor lock-in.
Yeah, the vendor lock-in.
Interesting point. Let's hear the perception and the input. The question is about vendor lock-in. Can we move between clouds when we want to? I've heard this is very difficult to do.
I think this is the great beauty
it's very difficult, right?
Well, I don't think that it is so much. I think the great beauty of software as a service is if you don't like it, you stop paying for it. It's as simple as that. And you can run CPU cycles in lots of places. You can store stuff in lots of places. So frankly, vendors don't get away with locking in. All of your contracts always have a clause or 2 or 3 that deals with that. That's my experience. I don't know about
Bruno?
It's the same. It's your data. If you want to stop the services, you take your data and go somewhere else. That's part of our core.
And do you guys offer mechanisms to do this? Can I press an export button?
Yeah, click, download, go on. Yep.
Others that want to give their perception on this?
I would react to the question about predictability, how much you can know, how much you pay at the end of the month. I believe that, first of all, it's a new way of consuming something. It's like the utility sort of consumption is different, and organizations need to adapt to it and need to learn. But after they learned, and we are giving different tools to make that happen. So you can establish different warnings, you can set up different limits. You need to learn how to navigate in the utility-based environment in terms of cost control. But this cost control is very similar after getting used to it than anything else what you are using as in a utility model. It's quite predictable, I need to say. I'm seeing and monitoring our customers' usage, and after a couple of months, it's very visible how much they are using. In an organization, obviously, you need to set up some limits and some warning systems, but I don't see it as a major obstacle. It's a learning, and we are there to help for this learning.
Yeah. Others? Gisli? Can I get to you, John?
I think one of the for the public cloud providers, then speaking for Advania, towards Advania and Amazon and Microsoft, of course, I mean, transparency in pricing is really, really important. And that doesn't apply to all the public cloud providers. You need to see what you get, and it needs to be very transparent what you're going to pay in the end of the month. That being said, I mean, you being able to set quotas and schedule how much you're going to spend on the resources that you're going to use is very important. And that is one of the key factors that you need to address and has been addressed, for example.
The ability to be in control, right? We haven't heard from you, John, about this particular point.
Regarding how easy is to move from one cloud to another. I mean, we've been collaborating, like many of us here, we've been collaborating together in containers, which will be a way of decoupling the infrastructure that you're using from the logical of the applications that you are developing. So the idea is that you can encapsulate those applications and isolate them from the infrastructure that you're using, and that you can actually deploy that container into any cloud. That's Dockers. Maybe you are familiar with that terminology. We are basically contributing to that because we believe that, I mean, any cloud provider would not be locking any customer. I mean, it will be our approach has to be the best. I mean, and make sure that you don't move out of any of us because we are the best and we do the best for you. But if we don't, I mean, we have to give you all the tools and resources that you can use in order to move from one place to another. But let me add something when we were talking about the biggest obstacle. I used to work quite a lot with Spanish universities back in my previous lives. And one of the things that they used to do is funding most of the projects that they had to do with European Union funds, because we were a region that was objective for funding. And the things that funding traditionally has been very much related to CapEx and not OpEx. So it's probably one of the biggest obstacles that I see, unless that the regulation has changed and now you can use the money for OpEx, to convince the authorities that you're going to be building a project based on thin air that they have nothing to see and nothing to touch than your application. That's
Thanks for raising that point, John. I think that is an important obstacle for us in the community. I'm looking around. More obstacles, Roberto? Bring them on.
But a question to the panelists here. I wanted to ask you, if you are connected to Giant or the NRENs, how do you see that influencing your pricing structure to reduce networking costs?
Okay, is that a question clear to everybody?
Happy to take a shot at that. Okay. So we would love to see framework agreements enacted with a number of NRENs or through the Giant level, so that we can bring volume pricing advantage to a broader group of people. If you put yourself in our shoes, if we have to contract separately with each and every one of you in some little granular bit of some department or some faculty or some institution or some... As we go up and up the list, obviously the less work we have to do to transact, the more we can bring volume price advantage to a larger group. So I think that having frameworks enacted at NREN level is extremely helpful in that regard to address that issue.
Thanks, Andy. And that is a nice bridge into the next slide with questions, because we are really curious. Your question falls right into that category, Roberto. What is the value that you have in working with us? So please, you can talk about the pricing aspect, but I think we can also transition to that next element, what you want from us, what the value is that we bring to you. But maybe first a bit more about that pricing element to talk a bit further about this. Bruno, you want to talk about this?
On the pricing level?
Yes, regarding
okay.
Roberto's
On the
question.
discussion about the connectivity, let's say, direct peering. Yes, we heard you, and this is something that we will take back and come up with a proposal, but it's something that has to be a win-win situation, and that's why I agree with Adam, Andy, not Adam, is for each or connectivity, there is a cost involved. About peering and about direct connectivity, ingress charges, there is a kind of an agreement to make that possible to waive them out or to make a fixed fee about these charges. And this is something that we really are working on to see how we can move forward quickly with Giant. Because Giant, if we can knock or let's say connect to the Giant backbone, any entrant will have the benefit. So I believe if the project that you're driving, Andres, if you can make it, this will make a huge step forward, because then it will be a real win-win for both of us.
Thanks,
the
Bruno.
cloud providers, you as Giant, and then in the end, the entrants.
Other providers that want to respond to this particular point? Network peerings?
Just two words, and I fully agree. I believe that for us, one element is access to all single educators, researchers, students. We could leverage your arm on delivering trainings. We could offer the cooperation there. We are offering different ways of optimizing the spend. Obviously, if it's one under one umbrella, there are more opportunities to do the optimization. On the other end, making the procurement simpler, not lots of contracts, one contract. You are giving up, on the other hand, the time to access this technology. Not everybody needs to look after the education, so the speed element would be great for us. What we believe is that we need to see what makes sense and what is important for our customers. I think most probably training, access, speed, cost saving, and education, so all can be merged in one cooperation agreement with you.
Thanks. John, about that particular point of data peerings, network peerings, you want
to? We are right. Sorry, I was just thinking on something about the value for us working with you. No.
Okay, but then I'll want to wrap this up by going to you, Gisli, and then we go into the values, and then you can take that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Advania, of course, being already connected to the Giant backbone, offering free transfer of data between. I mean, one of the things that was something that we did very early on. I mean, that's something that one of the collaboration things that you need to address when you're working with the NREMs. And what we did very early on is to give basically transparency and try to cut down the cost of usage by, for example, enabling free transfer.
Okay, so free transfer is in place.
Yeah,
okay,
that's in place.
Okay,
right. In our case, I mean, what we do is we tend to do things in a very broad manner. Like, I mean, we are always obsessed with the scalability, and in terms of that, what we do is basically every time that we get to a new, let's say, type of machines that will allow us to cut the price that we are able to provide that service with, we directly translate that into the customers, like broad base and to every customer. So in terms of cost, we are always trying to drive the cost down. And probably since we got into the market, it's not because of us. I mean, it's obviously because we all adopted probably the same pattern, but we follow Moore's law, like always.
But is that specific value that we could bring in working with?
No.
with
What I
Google?
mean, no. That's a totally different story. The value that we are. I would say that we are a company, but we are also a research institution, pretty much. I mean, we are an engineering company. So basically, we are launching like literally thousands of things every week. I mean, it's difficult for us to keep pace on what we are doing. So the value that I see in working with research and education institutions is that whenever we are sending something new to the market, it is great that we can collaborate with people that actually speaks the same language that we do, so they can actually be doing testing about the things that we are doing, and they can actually give us feedback on if what we are doing right now is the right thing to do or not, or if there are any, bugs in the system that we can actually fix due to that collaboration. I think that this is mutual, and that's going to be probably one of the biggest advantages that we have when we work with research and education institutions.
Great.
So Andres, Andres.
Oh, sorry.
Could I ask a question,
Per,
please?
yes. I thought it was you.
So I would like to emphasize on the fact that we are not willing to pay for networking because we operate a pan-global network together, and if we can't leverage that in the business case, I don't see us buying that service. Then you have to go to all the universities yourself, really. In our strategy in Sweden, that's one of the requirements we always put into when we do procurement on any service, that we have a network already in place that covers the whole globe. So we have plenty of places to interconnect, and that's one of the things that we have. We have to be able to leverage our network because we have to justify to our customers why we have this network, right? So I'm just trying to emphasize that, and I think that is going to be part of that procurement, right?
It probably will be. Thanks, Per. Maybe let's do very quickly the dark blue one. So what do you want? Because we have told you a lot about what we would like from you. So what would you like from us? And let's try and have it all in one sentence or in one keyword. You give us homework, right? What do you want from us? What can we do? Make it snappy. Andy, what do you want from us?
Frameworks at NREN level that we can
Frameworks.
engage with. Yeah.
Okay. Somebody's writing this down? Frameworks, that's number one. Bruno, what do you want from us?
Adding to that, awareness. We have such a number of thousands of services that we can deliver, millions of CPU power available, awareness.
Okay, thanks.
Second one on my list.
Writing it down as well, awareness. Erica.
Great partnership. We are the new kids on the block, so please come and reach us, to my colleagues, to me, and let's get partners.
Yep, great. That's it. Panos.
Well, we are an NRN, so it's a bit funny question to ask for me. What do we want from NRNs? But well,
I'm still going to ask you. Well, what do you want from the NRNs as Okeanos operator?
Feedback.
Okay.
Feedback.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. John, what do you want from the NRNs?
Spread the word. I mean, like advocates. That's what we need.
Gisli?
Well, more collaboration, I guess. I mean, what we are going to push out is a proof of concept program very soon at Green Cloud, where we want to see collaboration with the NRENs on doing multi-zone community clouds.
Great. Let's do another round. Andy, what do you want from us? Besides the frameworks.
No, I just want to, well, the awareness is the big one for me, but I do want to pick up on this point about the predictability of charging, if I may. I wonder if that comes from the politics of having to recharge internally. You used more than he used, more than she used. And I think that something that we can all help with that is flat pricing where possible, for example, on storage and retention and stuff like that.
Flat pricing. Any other points from you? What do you want?
Real partnership. It should be win-win.
Okay. It's like a brainstorm. It's like we keep on going until we have 56 items on the list. Erica, anything else you want from us?
For us, the big value is that you are connected to the customers. We are very customer-centric. I think most probably everybody knows about us. Get us the feedback. This is leading back to us. Connect us with the customers and help us to best serve them.
Great. Panos, I'm going to skip you now because you weren't comfortable in the first case, so let you off the hook here. John, anything else?
Yeah, bi-directional communication. I mean, this is the way that I see that the cloud is going to be evolving, and the way that we are going to be able to solve more and more problems and more complex problems is when we create something, we bring something to the community, you try it, you use it, and you tell us what you think, and then we can improve. And that's going to be good for the community, and it's going to be good for everyone outside the community as well.
Great. Another item for you, Gisli? What do you want from us?
Well, I mean, I have to compliment you guys at Giant. I mean, I think you guys are going in the right direction by consolidating and gathering service providers into a one forum where you can share that with the NREN community. That I think is a very important step where information are available for the NRENs to evaluate and compare solutions. That is very important, and what we hope to do in the coming months and years with the NRENs is to help build better community clouds and infrastructure as a service and infrastructure management.
Great.
Andres, there's another question.
Garvin, yes.
On the roadblocks. So you mentioned procurement, predictability of price. The other thing that our clients say to me when I meet them is about data protection. So they want model clauses, they want to know where their data resides. So we haven't had anything of that from the panel yet.
We've got 4 minutes left, so maybe
data retention is a great question. So I think you're right. People want to know where the hell their data is. People are interested in how they can comply with the ever tougher European regulations. We have the General Data Protection Regulations coming out from Brussels 2017, which will carry fines of up to 100 million euros if you have a breach and you can't say what that data was, where that data was held. So I think that's important. I think it's also important to realise that it's not just about geography. People imagine that knowing that something is in Bolivia or Uzbekistan makes a big difference with some of our risks. It sort of doesn't, especially with the USA Patriot Act applying to many of us on this panel. So I think it's also about how can we deregulate data before it leaves your devices, your data centers, and goes somewhere else. And I think that's actually to do with technologies around encryption, key management, and so forth. So I think there's a lot of ways to slice that. I also think that all of us provide managed private cloud solutions as well for those tricky corner cases where public cloud maybe doesn't cut it with some of your compliance people. Very important points.
And anybody else that wants to pick up on that particular point?
It's the core of our business.
I see Erica nodding as well.
This is a highly important point, and I'm really happy you raised that. We have full commitment to comply with all these requirements. It's quite difficult, though, and I believe that maybe Switzerland is the best example when every canton is having different data protection agreements. But I believe that it's a very important thing if we are connecting on this and we can provide all the proofs of the compliance to the data protection agreement.
John, for you?
I do believe that we have a communication problem. I mean, that's my own opinion. That is that most of what we do is probably much more secure than ever. I mean, our data centers, the way we treat security within, the way we actually upload or download any document, any single piece of code that goes into a cloud, that comes out of a cloud, is probably treated in the biggest or much more secure way than ever. However, probably the regulation or the regulatory authorities are pretty afraid of what they don't really understand, or that they don't really get to know exactly how it works. So probably it's a matter of communication, or again, bi-directional communication. Probably we are not communicating effectively what we do and how we do it. And they cannot regulate based on something that they totally don't know how it works. Okay. So there's a lack of interaction in between us that will probably use those things, because we all comply with data protection acts, we are all safe harbor compliant, so we don't see that big issue there, whereas I believe that the regulator still sees it.
Well, the issue, of course, is not the security of the infrastructure service or the service itself. It's the regulations. And we are seeing, for example, use cases where you need to store something in-house. You need to store something within your country or I mean, due to regulations or compliancy. And I mean, for us at least, with Green Cloud, with QStack, you can decide your deployment model. Do you want to go private, hybrid, or a public cloud? That should be the flexibility of the solution.
Great.
Yep.
Thanks. I would like to say we're going to end the session, but the session will not end, because as you can see, we will continue at 6 o'clock today. We hope you will join us for the meet and greet to talk more about clouds, how we can work with the providers, how we can work as a community, as NRENs, to deliver those services. In meeting room 3, I'll bring drinks and snacks, so join us there.
Will there be
Now
beer?
it's attractive.
Is there going to be
Yep.
beer?
Now it's getting
Please
interesting.
come and join us.
I want to thank all the panelists, Andy, Bruno, Erica, Panos, John, Gisli. Thank you very much
Thanks,
for being
Andreas.
here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank you,
Nice job, Bruno.
everybody in the audience, for participating and for making this a very active session. And I hope to see you at 6. There is more information about how to reach us. Do get in touch. And let's meet again at 6 today in meeting room 3 to continue our talk. Thanks, everybody.